Hey, and welcome to the Meditations and Musings podcast. I'm Elena Lipson. I'm a mama, I'm a wife, and I'm the founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle membership and the Virtual Retreat Academy. I don't believe that you have to sacrifice your body, your health, or your family in order to create true abundance and prosperity. I believe in living based on the divine feminine metrics of success, and these include pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. Each week, I'll bring you 1 to 2 new episodes. One of these will be a guided meditation that you don't have to do on the meditation pillow, and the other will be a conversation to help you access your inner wisdom, to ignite abundance, and inspire others to do the same. I invite you to join me on this journey back to the magic of a divinely aligned and well cared for you. And now, join me for today's episode. Welcome to another episode of the Meditations and Musings podcast. I'm so excited to have you with me. This is episode number 22. So very excited because 22 is a magic number in my life on so many levels. And today I want to bring you something really special. Now, those of you who have subscribed to my podcast and have gone over to elenalipson.com/gift, which is the special gift that I have for you as a loved subscriber of my podcast, I'm actually going to go over something very important with you today. And someone asked me this question very recently, which is, how are you able to create so much and still have so much time for self-care? And I, of course, had to answer honestly, which is I haven't always been able to do that. And quite honestly, I don't create all that much, but it just seems like a lot because over time, when I create something on a consistent basis, and if you think about it, if you take a year and you create one thing every month or one thing every quarter or even 2 things every year, after a couple of years, you're going to have some really consistent creations, and it's going to look like you've been doing a lot of work over. Some people don't even really understand how much time. So I want to just gift you with something really important, which is a dimension of intention to your day. And the gift that I give you when you go to elenalipson.com/gift is my special practice, my magic morning practice, which is probably the number one thing that I get asked to teach when I come for interviews or when I'm a guest expert on somebody's show. Magic morning practice is the thing that I get asked to speak about the most because I think it's probably the thing that has transformed my life the most. It's the one consistent daily habit that I have been doing for probably a decade now. And I share a lot of this when I get interviewed and when I share stories. I'm not going to go into the whole thing right now, but just so you understand the importance of a daily practice. I recently heard somebody say, whatever you do or don't do becomes a habit. Now think about that. Whatever you do or don't do becomes a habit. So if you choose to do something that serves you and you make that a habit, then it's going to be something that you continue on with. If you choose to do something that's not so good for you, that becomes a habit as well. But this also works on the flip side. So if there is a habit that you've been wanting to do, like starting to go for a walk every morning or go to the gym or eat less meat or whatever it is, if you're not doing that, the not doing of it also becomes a habit. Can you see that? So you become somebody who is not doing something for yourself as a habit. And this leads us to something called keeping promises or keeping sacred promises to yourself. And that's something I'm going to cover in depth in a future episode because keeping promises to yourself is one of the most important things that you can do or not do that's going to dictate how your life is going to go and the enjoyment level of your life. And if you become someone who keeps promises to yourself, your life is going to go in a very different way versus someone who simply doesn't trust yourself to keep a promise to yourself, even in the smallest of ways. We're going to go into depth in a future episode, I promise. It's very, very important. But for today, I want to share with you my magic morning practice. And I talk about this on other episodes of a podcast that I get interviewed on because when someone says, well, where do I start? I don't have time. And when someone joins my free online community, the Divine Self-Care Circle, I ask them 3 questions. And one of the questions I ask is, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to self-care? And the number one answer, what do you think it is? If you said time, you'd be right. So people don't think they have time to take care of themselves. And I would say, well, what the heck is more important than taking care of yourself? Maybe you're a caretaker for others. Even then, it's even more important. I have so many women who are caretakers in my community in all the programs that I teach because they finally get to a point where they understand that you cannot mindfully, intentionally, over time, in a good way, take care of someone else unless you are nourishing yourself, not on a topical level, not like, oh, I'm just going to go outside for a break for 5 minutes and get some fresh air, but on a really deep level where you are consistently meeting your own needs of hydration, rest, sleep, joy, creativity, and many others. We have these different containers that we fill in our lives, and unless you're systematically doing that, you're going to drain yourself in one or the other, or mostly many of them, or some people, all of them. They simply don't understand on a very simple level that you have to meet your own needs first in order to give to someone else. Now, I know you've seen this in memes online and, oh, you have to fill your own cup first, and you get it on a superficial level. But until you've been the person who's really caretaking for a child or another human being or even a business, you don't fully understand. And when you finally do understand, there's another step. And that step is to give yourself full permission to do the things on a daily basis that you need to do. Not just when it's convenient and not just when someone guilts you into doing it, but really understanding that how can I make my life feel good now so that I can do the things that I want to do, need to do, and have to do. So I want to share with you a really simple 3-step magic morning practice. And I call it magic because it really does feel very transformational when you're doing it. Now, when I have a normal workday, I do my normal magic morning practice, and I'll share the 3 steps with you in just a moment. When I have more going on, when I am speaking on a stage or I'm hosting a retreat, I go into hyper mode. That little button on a Tesla that puts it into, what is it called? Ludicrous speed? Well, that's what I do. I press ludicrous speed on my self-care practice, and I wake up extra early. I do more of each of the 3 steps that I'm going to share with you in a moment. And I actually create a bubble of self-care around that important thing I have to do. So, for example, in a few days, I'm leaving to host an international retreat for a group of women with my 2 business partners. And I am literally taking everything off my calendar today and tomorrow and making sure that I have time to just relax and to, of course, pack and just enjoy the moment and really relish and enjoy the process of anticipation. So many times we skip over the enjoyment of before something amazing happening or something that we've worked really hard to create. And then afterwards, I have absolutely nothing on my calendar so that I can spend time doing absolutely nothing, which means whatever I want to do, which could even mean spending the day in bed watching Netflix and cuddling with my guys and just walking around without really any direction and really allowing myself to fully integrate the experience. So we'll talk more about all of these feminine metrics of success, which you have heard me talk about before. But for today, if you want a pen and a paper, or grab your journal, this would be a great time to do that because I want you to really you're going to have ideas as I'm sharing my 3 steps with you. And then if you need more specific, lots of brainstorming advice, I'm going to invite you to go to elenalipson.com/gift, where when you enter your name and email address, you instantly receive a video where I go into a lot of depth into each magic morning practice and give you lots and lots of ideas of how to create your own. But right now, I want you to just start listening and start thinking and start wondering. The question I'd like you to ask yourself right now is, I wonder what my daily practice could look like. I wonder what my morning practice could look like. Now, I really focus on morning practice because I believe that the way you start your day is the way you show up in the world. But some people have lots of things going on in the morning. I have friends who've got 3, 4, 5 kids, and maybe a morning practice isn't ideal. But I'll tell you what, even 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the morning before your kids wake up will give you something so profoundly nourishing that it's going to pull you awake. And when you don't do it for a period of time, you're going to feel the difference. I hear this all the time. So without further ado, here are the 3 steps. The first step of the Magic Morning Practice is to do something with your mind, to activate your mind in some way. Now, I'll just tell you this. You can do it in any order you'd like, the 3 steps. Mind, body, and spirit, right? Mind, body, spirit. Mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit, whichever one you want to use, that's totally fine with me. But you can do them in any order, and I have done them in various orders over the years. Right now, I start with spirit, and then I move on to mind, and then I move on to body. But over the years, I've done mind, body, and then spirit. So really, it doesn't matter the order. It matters that you do all 3 to activate all 3. So step 1 will be to activate your mind. And the way I would do this is I would have a journal dedicated just to my morning practice that's located in the area that I do it. So a lot of times you don't do what you need to do because it's inconvenient. So make it as convenient as possible. So I have a magic morning journal that I only use for that practice. And all I do is when I first wake up, I'll grab this journal. First, I'll stretch my body, and I'll grab this journal, grab the pen under a really just easy light. I usually use my candlelight and my salt lamp. I don't turn the bright lights on first thing in the morning, so I can just kind of stay in that zone of sleepiness and just kind of that between sleep and awakeness. And I start writing. Sometimes I'll write my dreams. Sometimes I will write a list of gratitudes. And sometimes I'll write my affirmations. And some days I will do all 3. So it's up to you to decide. The second step is to do something to activate your body. Now, sometimes it's really interesting to move your body first and then go into meditation because it's kind of a different awakeness. So if you're someone who feels like you fall asleep first thing in the morning if you meditate, try moving your body first. And the body part could be something super, super simple like 3 to 4 to 5 sun salutations if you do yoga, or simple stretching, or even putting on a song or 2 and dancing. Or if you're like me, I love going out for a walk in nature, so I'll go out for a walk in nature. So whatever you do, just allow yourself to heat up your body, move your muscles, because if you don't move it, you lose it. That's literally how it works. So if you want to stay youthful and creative and feel like you enjoy being in your body, then definitely move it every day. And then step 3 is doing something with your spirit or your soul. And that could really be so different based on who you are. You can pull a tarot card. You can sit with your eyes closed and just focus on your breath like I do. You can have a mantra. You can go and sit by the window or sit outside and look up at the sky and just wonder what is out there. It really doesn't matter if you're an atheist, if you're spiritual or religious. There's something bigger than you that helps you to receive guidance. So however that is for you, find some way to connect on a daily basis. It could literally be closing your eyes and just wondering, I wonder what is out there. I wonder what is guiding us. Or if you do have a sense of what that wonder is for you, then connect with it somehow. Sometimes it's as simple as lighting a candle, looking at the flame for a few minutes, and just giving gratitude, getting present into the divinity of yourself, into the divinity of being alive, into the divinity of what in the world is guiding my life. I wonder. So those are the simple steps of body, mind, and spirit. And I promise you, if you do this in some small capacity for the next 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, you're going to begin to see a shift in the presence of your awareness. Even if it wears off by the late afternoon and you find yourself like in a glum slump again, that's fine, because what happens over time, if you continue doing it and it feels really good, is that you'll notice that you have a different sense of presence. You'll be a little bit more patient with those that you're caring for, especially with yourself. You'll be a little bit more joyful. You might not reach for that ice cream or cigarette if addiction is something that you deal with. It might just be a little bit easier to find kindness and compassion, especially for yourself and others as well. So I'd really love it if you would dive into this a little bit more. This is such a life-altering practice, and I've been teaching this for years now, and the women who are in my paid Divine Self-Care Circle, the year-long journey, have found massive shift and transformation in this. I mean, I get testimonials and emails and verbal testimonials so often that this is one of those most life-changing practices that I teach. So I really invite you to just take the seeds of what I've planted for you today. And if you want more, head on over to elenalipson.com/gift. and add a dimension of intention to your day. And once you do, please tag me. Take a picture of your morning practice, post it on Instagram and tag me, Elena_Lipson, or hashtag Magic Morning Practice, and tag me at Elena_Lipson on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to know what you're doing. Share it with me, share it with those around you, inspire those around you by sharing your own journey. I promise you, this is one of those practices that is going to start changing the way you show up for your life, for your work, and for those you love. I wish you luck on the journey. Have fun with it. Create your own practice, and I can't wait to see what you create. Please don't forget to tag me. And if this episode affected you, inspired you, activated you, please share it with a friend and let me know how it goes for you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Meditations and Musings podcast. Thank you so much for listening and learning about the new divine self-care way of being in your life, business, and the bedroom based on the divine feminine metrics of success: pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. If you're ready to bust the myth of overwhelm and tap into an inspired start to each day, I've put together a free video series for you to help you start each day with energy, inspiration, and ignite that inner pilot light which attracts joy, magic, and synchronicity. You can access my 3-step magic morning practice to help you ignite your inner light and attract the abundance that you're craving. Head on over to elenalipson.com/gift. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would so love if you share it with a friend, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and please leave a review. That is how the magic starts to ripple out. Here's wishing you a day full of beauty, magic, and divine self-care. I'll see you next time at the Meditations and Musings podcast.